for everything beyond the gates belongs to me.
Holy crap, dude. Holy crap. We're back with another Ottoman Empire episode.
Although the Ottomans had managed to force the vassalization of Moravian Serbia during the aftermath of the Battle of Kosovo, casualties in that battle had been massive, and as a result, a power vacuum had arisen in the Balkans. With its armies in southeastern Europe severely depleted and its former sultans slain on the battlefield, the Ottoman Empire, under its new sultan Bayezid I, was in a state of uncertainty and more vulnerable to outside invasions from its hostile neighbors in the Balkans and Anatolia than in any previous period in the country's history. Although the situation in the Balkans was slowly settling down after the climax in hostilities in Kosovo, elsewhere, the steady peace that Edirne had crafted between the various Turkic beyliks of Anatolia was slowly falling apart. In this episode on the history of the Ottoman Empire, we will cover Sultan Bayezid's conquest of Asia Minor and the rising tensions with the Christian powers of Europe which flared up in its wake. Throughout this series, we'll be mentioning...
Oh, is it a sponsor? Yes, it is. I'm gonna skip that. Okay. This is
series, and in particular...
No, I actually had Magellan TV for a bit. I actually did have Magellan TV for a bit, but I stopped. I forgot why I stopped. I think it's because I went like extremely broke at that time. Holy crap, dude. Oh man, that's actually hilarious. So I did have Magellan TV for a bit.
Full episode on Janissaries. You'll learn how these men were in to find out how countries
holy crap, this is a long sponsor. What the...
During the reign of Murad I, the Ottoman state underwent a major transformation within its military and bureaucratic ranks, as the Timur and Divshirme systems were institutionalized throughout the Sultanate's Balkan territories. With the centralizing Ottoman state relying more on its newly established Balkan political class for governance and war, the independently minded Turkic Ghazi warbands of old, who were present since the days of Osman Ghazi, began slowly losing political influence in Edirne. Many Turkic groups in Anatolia felt that the Ottoman Sultanate had become too sympathetic to the Christian elements of its Balkan holdings, and too hostile to the Islamic Ghazi traditions of old. In addition to the
Bro, this reminds of how when I was reacting to Alexander the Great, okay, when he conquered the people around him, he basically was assimilating himself, right? If you watch from Alexander the Great by Epic History TV, it's very similar to that. It's very interesting. Like, why do rulers, like, is this like a pattern where whenever rulers conquer people, you know, me personally, you would expect them to, I've seen this throughout, some of the history that I know, the people would typically assimilate, over time. But it's very interesting how the rulers tend to assimilate themselves into the culture that kind of, sort of, it really depends on the people that they conquer. Let us continue. Right here.
It had become too sympathetic to the Christian elements of its Balkan holdings, and too hostile to the Islamic Ghazi traditions of old. In addition to the fratricide of the popular Shahzada Yaqub and the decline in the Ottomans' ability to project power in Anatolia after their massive losses at Kosovo, the Ghazi warbands within the Sultanate and the other various Turkic beyliks of Western Anatolia began to become increasingly antsy in their desire to throw off Ottoman overlordship. Seeking to take advantage of the region's political unrest and Murad I's sudden death, during the spring of 1390, the ruler of the powerful Karamanid state, Alaeddin Ali Bey, would conduct a surprise invasion into Ottoman territories. He would be accompanied by the many smaller Turkic beyliks of Western Anatolia, whose allegiance regularly...
Okay, finally these Turkic beyliks are, like, doing something, because this is the 6th episode that I'm on, and I'm, like, looking at these beyliks, I'm like, are they ever gonna do anything? Like, what are these beyliks doing? Like, who even are these beyliks? I think I questioned this in my previous episode. I forgot which one, but no one never really like gave me like a detailed description on who these Beyliks were, what they were doing during this time, how they were even formed. I think the Beyliks were formed after the Seljuks, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? So yeah, I was really looking forward to finally learning about these Beyliks, like, because the only Beylik he talked about was what? This one? The big blue one. I forgot the name of that already. But yeah, definitely look forward to seeing what these Beyliks are made of, because eventually the Ottoman Empire controlled all of Anatolia, and I want to know how they did it and how the Beyliks reacted to that. So let's continue.
Karamanid state, Alaeddin Ali Bey, would conduct a surprise invasion into Ottoman territories.
Alright, let's continue. Had a bit of
By many smaller Turkic Beyliks of Western Anatolia, whose allegiance regularly flip-flopped between the Ottomans and Karamanids, seeking to play the two major powers of the region off one another in order to maintain their independence. In a short period of time, the newly formed Turkic coalition would capture the Ottoman buffer towns of Akşehir and Beyşehir, in addition to Kütahya, thus sparking panic in Edirne.
Whoa.
The new Sultan of the Ottomans did not stay idle as his domains in Anatolia were being chipped away. First obtaining a fatwa in order to officially declare wars against fellow Muslim states, Bayezid, along with an Ottoman army made out of mostly European vassal troops and his own household troops, would cross into Anatolia with the intent of waging a lightning-fast war in the region.
Bro. This reminds me of how slaves would outnumber the master by large droves. And I always wonder, because let's be real here, folks, do you really think these vassals are truly loyal to their overlords? Hell no. Why didn't they take that time to try and, I don't know, pull some strings, right? If they outnumbered the Ottoman forces, right? Why didn't they try to, I don't know, kill the Sultan, right? Capture him. I don't know. Because come on, these vassals aren't really loyal. They're just doing it because, knife is at their throat, basically. Right? Especially when the Sultan is weak. Why are they willfully just helping him? Why are they not taking advantage of that? Right? Many questions. Many. Like, I never understood how that vassalization worked. Like, were people really felt loyal? People actually had a sense of loyalty? Because I know some, all the times, people, they didn't. But, right now, you would think that this would be the most opportunistic moment for the so-called vassals to, rebel against the Ottomans. But yet they're sending troops to help their adversary? What? Why? Let us continue, shall we?
Out of mostly European vassal troops and his own household troops, would cross into Anatolia with the intent of waging a lightning-fast war in the region. The Ottoman Sultan would also be accompanied by his vassal lords, the newly crowned Serbian royal Stefan Lazarevic, and the junior Byzantine co-emperors John VII and Manuel II. In a single military campaign during the summer and fall of 1390, Bayezid and his armies would conquer the Yamianid, Aydinid, Metanesha and Saracen Beyliks in quick succession, absorbing their significant wealth in the process. Moreover, the isolated Byzantine town of Philadelphia, the last imperial town left in Anatolia, was finally transferred to Ottoman rule after a short siege.
What? Wait. What? But the Byzantines were helping them. So wait. So the Romans helped besiege their own town? What? Why? What? Confusion question mark? Oh, holy. I have a lot more questions than I'm getting answered, bro.
Philadelphia, the last imperial town left in Anatolia, was finally transferred to Ottoman rule after a short siege. After wintering in Ankara and resupplying his army, Bayezid resumed his Anatolian campaign the following spring, which resulted in the fall of the Hamindid and Tekka Beyliks, in addition to the reconquest of the towns of Akşehir and Beyşehir from the Karamanids. After capturing large swaths of Anatolia within a short period, mainly due to the exploits of Stefan Lazarevitz and his Serbian shock cavalry, Bayezid now had a large source of manpower to call on for future military campaigns into Europe.
What the heck? This is the year 1391. Battle of Kosovo literally happened 3 years ago, right? 1389, 89, 90, 91. Well, 2 to 3 years ago. I don't know. My math is bad. Also, it's like 4 a.m. I should be asleep. I have work in like a couple of hours, but I have to do this reaction. Oh, you better like the video just for that. Holy crap. That's why I'm kind of talking a bit slow, because I'm like kind of like sleepy and whatnot. But I'm still paying attention. Why are the Serbians just suddenly helping the Ottomans though? Come on, the Battle of Kosovo literally happened like a couple of years ago. And now they're like, oh, let's just go help the Ottomans. What? This... I'm like losing brain cells thinking about this, because how can they just help them just like that? Right? Like they were literally just enemies like a couple of years ago, like fresh in people's minds. And not because of the Serbian shock cavalry, the Ottomans were able to, like, I'm not even gonna give credit to the Ottomans. It's because of their vassals that they were able to conquer like all of these other Turkic beyliks. Okay, did they at least get rewarded? Did they get rewarded by this? I would think that they would get rewarded by this, right? Oh, bloody hell, man.
Mainly due to the exploits of Stefan Lazarevitz and his Serbian shock cavalry, Bayezid now had a large source of manpower to call on for future military campaigns into Europe. Seeing that his Turkic coalition in Western Anatolia had fallen so quickly to Bayezid, Alaeddin Ali Bey scrambled to find new allies, entering into an alliance with the Jandarid Beylik and the former lands of the Eretnid Beylik, which was now ruled by an Islamic scholar turned sultan called Kadi Burhanuddin. However, this new alliance would prove futile, as Ottoman forces would catch the Karamanid Bey by surprise, swiftly storming into his capital of Konya and capturing the city without bloodshed.
Wow.
Despite his decisive and crushing victories, Sultan Bayezid did not want to further antagonize the Turkoman nobles of the region with his war of conquest. To that end, he concluded a relatively lenient peace treaty with Alaeddin Ali Bey, in which the Karamanid ruler would submit to Ottoman vassalage and his territories reduced to the lands east of the stream of Çarşamba. It was also during this period in which Bayezid, in an attempt to legalize his claim over all of Anatolia, would brandish himself as the Sultan of Rum, a title that was once held by the former Seljuk sultans of old. With the Karamanids once again submitting to Ottoman supremacy in Anatolia, Bayezid now turned his attention.
Interesting. I was gonna say something, but I'm like, I don't think that's like worthy to say. But very interesting. Nothing crazy isn't really happening right now. The peace treaty though, I mean, I can see why you wouldn't want to like antagonize the other Turkic beyliks, but I mean, like, come on. I mean, he's being carried by his European vassalage. Although, what I will say is that that really shows how like European weaponry and technology was compared to, you know, the Turks, right? The fact that he was being carried by the European shock cavalry, that kind of shows you, I mean, just differences, right? Something else. Let's continue.
Sultan of Rum, a title that was once held by the former Seljuk sultans of old. With the Karamanids once again submitting to Ottoman supremacy in Anatolia, Bayezid now turned his attention up north to the Jandarid Beylik. In yet another lightning-fast military campaign during the summer of 1391, Ottoman forces captured the Jandarid capital of Kastamonu and annexed the Beylik into the empire.
Oh my gosh! No one is not doing anything?
The former Jandarid countryside for some time, Bayezid now turned his gaze to the domains of Cadi Burhanuddin. After swiftly capturing the border towns of Amisya and Çorum during the fall of the same year, Bayezid seemed poised to complete his total conquest.
Whoa! That is cool. The city of Çorum is home to approximately 3,500-year-old ancient city of Hatsa, which was the capital of the Hittite Empire. What? This was the capital of the Hittite Empire? Oh, that is actually cool because I really love the Bronze Age collapse. Very interesting period. I might even react to some of the Bronze Age videos on this channel later on. I definitely love that period. It's a very mysterious time period for me. So this is a really cool fact. This is actually a really cool fact. If you want me to react to Bronze Age stuff, definitely do let me know because I would love to do that.
Of Anatolia. However, after a sudden counter-offensive led by Burhanuddin himself, culminating in the Battle of Kirktulim and the death of Bayezid's son, Shahzada Ertugrul, Ottoman forces withdrew back into Jandarid lands in defeat. As Bayezid was making final preparations to once again invade the domains of Cadi Burhanuddin the following spring, major news from Europe had begun trickling into the Sultan's tent.
Bloody up.
With the majority of Ottoman armies preoccupied in Anatolia, King Sigismund of Hungary and the Serbian nobleman Vuk Brankovic had begun plundering the domains of Serbian ruler Stefan Lazarevic in an attempt to push back Ottoman presence in the Balkans. Meanwhile, Voivode Mircea of Wallachia had also begun a series of military operations in the region by raiding deep into Ottoman Bulgaria and conquering the vital Ottoman Danube fortress town of Silistra. The Wallachian voivode had also conquered the northern half of the Despotate of Dobruja, thus gaining access to a number of lucrative Black Sea ports in the process. In addition,
Alright, okay. Things are getting a bit heated again, but you know, these reactions that I do, right? I've learned that you gotta give it a bit of time before the action comes. So, you know, if you see me being a bit quiet, I am simply processing all the information in my head. I'm still very much paying attention to this because a lot of people have been telling me that in my comments. I've been hearing a lot of comments and a lot of people have been saying, hey, you're talking over a lot of important information, you know, like please stop doing that because you're missing a lot bloody hell, you're missing a lot of information. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop doing that. And that's why you see me like replay, you know, whenever I stop speaking, you see me replay it 10 seconds back, right? So that I can, you know, refresh my memory. So yeah, that's why I'm like, you know, not really like talking, you know, whilst the video is playing as much as I used to. I used to do that because I didn't really want to keep the video going for long, but apparently, like, I guess you guys just like it whenever I pause and talk instead. So, okay, I will listen to the people. Let us continue.
The Wallachian voivode had also conquered the northern half of the Despotate of Dobruja, thus gaining access to a number of lucrative Black Sea ports in the process. In addition to these Christian incursions into the Balkans, relations between Edirne and Constantinople were becoming increasingly strained, as a power struggle between the various factions of the Palaiologos dynasty erupted in the Byzantine capital city. Since the end of the previous Palaiologos civil war in 1379, the Byzantine realm was held together by an uneasy peace between the political faction of Andronikos IV and his son and co-emperor John VII, who predominantly ruled from Salimbria, and the faction of John V and his sons co-emperor Manuel II and despot Theodori I, who predominantly ruled from Constantinople and Morea. Ever since the political settlement...
My question is, and I know the answer to this partially, but I still have an extra question. Why couldn't the Ottomans conquer Constantinople? I know the city was super duper like a mega fortress, but I mean, look at the Eastern Roman Empire at this point. Like, you're telling me the Ottomans were conquering all of these people. They couldn't conquer Constantinople at this point still? They couldn't? Really? Like, it took them all the way until 1453 to finally conquer Constantinople. Why couldn't they do it now? They didn't have the technology to do it? I mean, like, I don't think they will be able to hold Bayezid off, right? Sure, Constantinople is a huge mega fortress, but the Eastern Roman Empire isn't what it used to be, right? So why couldn't the Ottomans not conquer Constantinople still at this point, despite the fact that they were basically a war machine? Someone please answer that question for me, because it's just weird. It's just weird because they're conquering literally any and everything in their path, but they still can't conquer Constantinople. Like, what? I know, like, you know, many people have tried to siege Constantinople and they failed because Constantinople was just this mega impenetrable fortress. But this isn't the Roman Empire that, you know, we knew, right? This is literally, I mean, do we even call this an empire? I wouldn't even call this an empire. It's kind of sort of just a city-state at that point. It's literally just a city-state. Because in my personal opinion, I don't think they would have like the manpower to hold off an Ottoman siege. I don't think they even, I mean, it even blows my mind that they even have an army to even help the Ottomans in their sieges and whatnot. But you know what? Let's continue. But do please answer that question for me in the comments. Please do. Bloody hell.
Of 1381, the mainline Byzantine succession from Constantinople was determined to be passed through John V to his eldest son Andronikos IV and then to his son John VII, thus bypassing Manuel II's claim to the throne. However, with the untimely death of Andronikos IV in 1385, the political settlement of 1381 was brought into question, as the 15-year-old John VII was now alone in his bid for the Byzantine throne. Distrustful of his grandfather and uncle, John VII would travel to Genoa in 1389 to solicit support for his claim to the Byzantine throne. But it would be the ascension of Bayezid I the same year which would give the young Byzantine emperor an opportunity to seize Constantinople.
A 15-year-old is thinking like this? A 15-year-old, brother. A 15-year-old, alright? You know, like, I see a lot of people, right? Oh my gosh, bro. Like, a lot of people, they think that because you are physically this age that you must most likely act this way, bro. No, definitely not. I don't even want to talk about this because I don't want people thinking that I'm weird. But all I'm gonna say is that age does not, your physical age does not define your maturity. Alright, I too many people, way too many people, I have seen too much people just automatically assume that, and bloody hell, nope. I have seen old people act like kids, bro. I've seen kids act like grown people. In fact, I literally had like people and kids And teenagers look at me and they tell me, like, your personality is like a 40-year-old inside of a young adult slash teenager's body. So, let's continue. Rewind 10 seconds.
But it would be the ascension of Bayezid I the same year, which would give the young Byzantine emperor an opportunity to seize Constantinople. During the spring of 1390, Bayezid, who distrusted both John V and Manuel II for their open defiance against Ottoman suzerainty, would lend troops to John VII. The Ottoman Sultan thought, by supporting the most junior claimant to the Byzantine throne, that he could gain a more trustworthy and dependent ally in Constantinople. Everything went as planned for Bayezid, as John the Younger would swiftly seize Constantinople, but after only 4 months of rule, Venetian forces under Manuel II would retake the imperial city, re-establishing the status quo. After seeing that his plans for the Romans had been thwarted, a furious Bayezid would demand both Manuel II and John V join his Ottoman host for his upcoming Anatolian campaign, along with a minor Byzantine retinue of cavalry. During the subsequent Ottoman military campaign from 1390 to 1391, the two co-Byzantine emperors would serve as de facto political hostages to the Ottoman Sultan. While Ottoman armies were preoccupied with Anatolia, Emperor John V saw a good opportunity to shore up his defences at home and ordered the strengthening of Constantinople's fortifications, particularly the city's Golden Gate complex. After hearing of this news from the Byzantine capital, an enraged Bayezid I would threaten John V with the blinding of his son, Manuel II, if he did not cease the construction project at once. The reluctant 58-year-old would submit to Bayezid's demands before proceeding to shut himself up in his palace in humiliation. In the first months of 1391,
that's a very interesting position to be in. That's a very interesting position to be in because, I mean, low-key, bro, I'm sorry, but I don't know. Low-key, I don't know. I might just have to let the sun go. Whoa, I don't know. I might thinking to myself, what would I do in that position, man? Now that's a tough spot to be in.
Would submit to Bayezid.
And how in the hell did Bayezid get information of this? Who told him? Bayezid is all the way over here. How does he know this? How is he getting information? He doesn't have internet. So who is telling him this? And it would take time for him to get this information, right? So how long would it take for him to get this information, and who is telling him this, right? Can someone answer that for me, please and thank you?
Its demands before proceeding to shut himself up in his palace in humiliation. In the first months of 1391, the ailing senior Byzantine emperor would die of natural causes after reigning over what was left of the Byzantine realm for more than 50 years. Upon hearing the news of his father's death, Manuel II would slip out of Ottoman captivity from Bursa and rush back to Constantinople before his nephew John VII could claim the imperial throne.
Nah, that is crazy, bro. He rushed out of... How do you rush out of captivity? Nah, bro, he actually rushed out of captivity. What the heck, man?
Hearing the news of Manuel's escape from his captivity and his coronation in Constantinople, and feeling robbed of the opportunity to pick a Roman monarch of his choosing, a now even angrier Bayezid put forth new demands upon the new Byzantine emperor. The Sultan of the Ottomans would demand for the construction of a Turkic quarter in Constantinople, in addition to a mosque and Islamic cadi to oversee the new settlement. Finishing off his humiliating list of demands for Manuel II, Bayezid would state to the Byzantine monarch, "If you do not accept my orders and do as I command, then shut the gates of your city and govern what lies behind them, for everything beyond the gates belongs to me."
Holy crap, dude. Holy crap. he's basically saying, know your place and shut your mouth. This is one of the hardest, coldest quotes I've ever heard someone say, bro.
Manuel II would bow down to Bayezid's demands, and 3 months later would be summoned to the Sultan's camp in the former lands of the Jandarid Beylik to swear loyalty to his new liege lord. Although Ottoman relations with Constantinople seemed stable for the moment, the same could not be said about the situation in the Balkans, as Serbian, Hungarian and Wallachian incursions in the region continued plunging deep into Ottoman territory. Putting his military campaign against Cadi Burhanuddin on pause, Bayezid, along with a recently replenished Ottoman army, would begin the march back to Europe in the last months of 1391. Meanwhile, in Edirne, Ottoman Grand Vizier Cendelizade Ali Pasha would coordinate limited retaliatory raiding operations into the lands of Wallachia, Hungary and Bosnia. However, by the turn of the year, Sultan Bayezid I and his main Ottoman host would enter into Europe after a lightning fast forced march, catching the Christian powers of the region off guard. The Ottoman Sultan would begin his European military campaign by first marching on the domains of Vuk Brankovic, the last Serbian nobleman that had yet to submit to Ottoman vassalage. Retracing his father's march during the Kosovo campaign of 3 years past, would swiftly capture the major Serbian town of Skopje, forcing Brankovic to submit to Ottoman suzerainty. With all of Serbia now under his rule, Bayezid then turned his attention to Mircea of Wallachia. In a blistering campaign, Ottoman forces would reconquer Silistra from the voivode, in addition to the southern half of the Despotate of Dobruja. In addition to these conquests, Bayezid would spend the rest of the year ramping up Ottoman raids into Hungary and Bosnia. After years of fending off,
nothing isn't really happening. I expected something. I mean, we have 5 minutes left of this episode. I mean, nothing really isn't really happening right now, but let's see.
Numerous Ottoman invasions into his realm, the Bulgarian Empire under Tsar Ivan Shishman had been reduced to a small collection of lands surrounding the Danube fortress town of Nicopolis and the main capital of Tarnovo. Seeking to finally finish off the Bulgarians before they could enter into a potential alliance with Hungary and Wallachia, Bayezid would invade the Tsar's domain during the spring of 1393. Upon hearing the news of invasion, Ivan would abandon his capital at Tarnovo and retreat to the more formidable Nicopolis, the fortress town that Murad I had unsuccessfully besieged back in 1388. This time, the Sultan's eldest son, Suleiman Çelebi, led the Ottoman host. With Tarnovo left leaderless and Ottoman forces now converging on the city, the capital's defences would be left in the leadership of the Patriarch of Bulgaria, Euthemius of Tarnovo. Ultimately, the city could not hold.
Oh, I was just about to say, come on, Bulgaria, I'm rooting for you. I like Bulgaria. I like Bulgarian history. Bulgarian history is valid. I remember a long time ago, a friend of mine, she looked at me and she said, oh, Bulgarian people are a joke. But keep in mind, she's Albanian. I'm like, not really. I like Bulgarian people. I like Bulgarian history. I think Bulgarian history is valid. Extremely valid, especially in the Balkan region. Definitely. I mean, like, you can't disrespect, like, Bulgarian history, bro. I don't care what anyone says, bro. So I do have a bit of sympathies for Bulgaria. So part of me is hoping that Bulgaria actually at least puts up a fight and doesn't just completely fall over like all the other people that Bayezid just completely steamrolled. Let us continue, shall we?
Ottoman forces now converging on the city, the capital's defences would be left in the leadership of the Patriarch of Bulgaria, Euthemius of Tarnovo. Ultimately, the city could not hold. After 3 months of withstanding the Ottoman siege, the exhausted defenders of Tarnovo would surrender to Suleiman Çelebi, resulting in a mass migration of Turkic settlers into the former Bulgarian capital. With the Bulgarian realm now being reduced to Nicopolis, Ottoman armies would now march on the neighboring Tsardom of Vidin, ruled by Ivan Shishman's half-brother Ivan Stratsimir. Before sharing the same fate as his fellow Bulgarian monarch, Stratsimir would submit to Ottoman vassalage, even accepting an Ottoman garrison to be stationed in his capital of Vidin. With large swaths of the Balkans now under Ottoman rule, during the winter of 1393, Sultan Bayezid I would call forth his Balkan vassals to meet with him in the town of Seres. Having serious doubts about the reliability of his Christian subjects' allegiances, the suspicious Ottoman Sultan wished to cement his authority over his vassals to ensure none were conspiring against him. Those who answered the call were Manuel II of the Byzantine Empire, Despot Theodori of Morea, John VII of Salimbria, Konstantin Dejanovich of Velbazhd, and lastly Stefan Lazarevich of Moravian Serbia. This call to meet spooked many, as it was rumored that Bayezid would round up and murder all of his vassal lords in order to centralize his power in the Balkans, just like he had in Anatolia. This rumor would be false.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing too. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was just watching this, and I was just like, alright, so when is he gonna kill all of them? Like, that was my exact same thoughts too, bro. I mean, like, is it crazy to think about, right? Like, it's not crazy to think about, right? Anyways, let's continue.
It was rumored that Bayezid would round up and murder all of his vassal lords in order to centralize his power in the Balkans, just like he had in Anatolia. This rumor would be false, and after a few days of exchanging pledges and promises to the Ottoman Sultan, all of the Christian lords participating in the meeting were free to go back to their own holdings. However, this Ottoman exercise of psychological warfare would be the breaking point for Manuel II, as upon his return to Constantinople, he would suspend his ties with Edirne. The Byzantine emperor hoped that the mighty Theodosian walls of his capital city would deter any future attempt at an Ottoman siege. Upon hearing the news that his Roman vassal was playing hooky with him, Bayezid would begin raiding the outskirts of Constantinople before blockading the Byzantine capital altogether. In addition to directly waging war against Manuel II, Byzantine Thessaly would be quickly conquered by local Ottoman marcher lords, resulting in a territorial expansion.
I completely forgot that the Eastern Roman Empire even had those territories,
which saw the Sultanate expand as far south as the Gulf of Corinth. In addition to the blockade of Constantinople, Bayezid would begin the building of a waterfront fortress on the narrowest point of the Bosporus in order to block maritime traffic from the Black Sea to the Byzantine capital. The construction of the Anadolu Hisarı, or Anatolian castle, and its fast completion in only a matter of months, would display the Ottoman Sultan's true desire to become the undisputed ruler of the Romans. However, Bayezid's sudden blockade of one of Christendom's largest cities would have a rippling effect in Europe. As a result of the siege, and Manuel II's pleas for European military assistance, King Sigismund of Hungary would call for an anti-Ottoman crusade. Soon after, the Pope
finally, I mean, come on, finally the Christians are doing something. Like, the whole time, I'm just sitting here like, what the hell are the Christians doing? Like, I'm like, surely they're just not gonna just let the freaking Constantinople get sieged. Like, surely they're gonna have to respond to that.
In Rome and Avignon, who were in the middle of the Western Schism, would proclaim the start of a crusade against Bayezid. As envoys and petitions were sent across Europe for the upcoming crusade, the Sultan of the Ottomans would not deter his choice of blockading the Byzantine capital city. Confident in his abilities as a military general, and coming off of a string of impressive victories in both the Balkans and Anatolia, Bayezid decided to double down and go on the offensive.
Okay,
in our
wow.
next video on Ottoman history,
Bro wants to smoke.
A massive crusading army, with knights from Hungary, Croatia, Bulgaria, Wallachia, France, Burgundy and Germany, will bear down upon Ottoman lands. To make sure you do not miss it, alongside any other videos on Turkish history.
I want to see that. I want to see that. Oh, I look forward to that one, man. Make sure you subscribe for that one. If you look forward to that one, if you look forward to seeing my reaction to that one, definitely subscribe. You made it all the way to the end of the video. If you're new, check out my other videos and subscribe, man. Come on. Like the video so that the YouTube algorithm can see that not only did you made it all the way till the end, but you know you like the video so that YouTube could recommend my content to more people just like you, so that we can have our small little community of people in our videos, right? Our content. I mean, it's my content, but still, you people watching it make this content possible. So this is why I say our, like communism, right? Like how the workers make everything possible for the people who are, you know, who they're working for. Anyways, I gotta go and sleep because I have to go to work in a couple of hours. So stay tuned and thank you for watching and goodbye.